Whoa, hey guys, I hope you like shitty audio because I'm still at Toronto Film Fest. Here's what else I saw. Mom and Dad starring Nicolas Cage, directed by Brian Taylor from Crank. Now, Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor have been doing things separately ever since Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, but based on how they've both been doing solo, I'd kind of like to see them get back together. What I wouldn't give to see a Crank 3. Now, I didn't really walk into this film with high expectations. I mean, it's a horror comedy starring Nicolas Cage from one of the Crank directors, what more do you want? And somehow I was still a little disappointed. Did Nick Cage deliver on hilarious acting? Yes, he did, but he was gone for half the movie, and there was no other aspect of the film that was really enjoyable. Yeah, the plot's stupid and it knows it's stupid, but so much of the film felt so incredibly unnecessary. During the middle of an action scene, we get a flashback of Nick Cage building a pool table, and it goes on for like 5 minutes despite being so inappropriately placed, and it seems like the only reason it exists is to say the title at the end of it. Looks like we're just Mom and Dad. Ugh. There was also a scene of the mom doing her workout class in really tight clothes. The scene had nothing to do with the rest of the movie and was literally just there to stare at her ass. Like, at least try to tie it in with the story or something. It's like the movie just stopped and the director put on the music video to Call on Me instead. The acting was the directing was the character choices were stupid for the sake of plot devices. There's instances where there's very clear opportunities to solve a problem, and the characters don't take that opportunity. Why? Because it needs to be a plot device. Okay, the plot needs to go here. We don't care that no one would ever do this in their entire lives. The soundtrack was easily the worst part. Much of the film could have played off as ironic and trying to be bad, but the splatter-like dubstep soundtrack kept insisting that what it's showing is actually super cool, which made much of the movie incredibly embarrassing. Honestly, the movie would have been much better without it. The film understands that it's not trying to be super serious. It had some fun gore here and there, and Nick Cage was really entertaining, so I don't feel like it was a waste of my time or money, but I'll never be seeing it again. And I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. Also, there was a short film called Great Choice that appeared before Mom and Dad, and that was pretty entertaining, although it was borderline ripping off Too Many Cooks, and honestly the short film itself probably would have worked better on YouTube anyway. I guess it's a 6 out of 10. Next I saw Lean on Pete from Andrew Haigh, the director of Weekend on my 2011 list and 45 Years on my upcoming 2015 list. Don't really want to say too much about this movie because the plot does go in interesting directions. Kinda wish the presenter at TIFF didn't really say anything about it before the film started either. It's a very well acted film starring Charlie Plummer. He's playing a 15-year-old in the film and he does a very, very convincing job. He is 18 now and I have no idea when production started, but right off the bat you actually believe that it's a kid and not some 20-something-year-old. Even putting the age aside, the character is very, very believable and relatable. You understand his goals and desires. You really feel for him even if he doesn't make the smartest decisions. It's a very sad movie, but in a kind of hopeful way that isn't way too depressing. Steve Buscemi is in the film and was also great and very believable. Same with Chloe Sevigny and Steve Zahn. The film was very well shot, and although there wasn't anything necessarily spectacular cinematography-wise, the location scouting really made up for it with beautiful landscapes. There's also plenty of long takes in the film, and it's clear that Andrew is getting better with his directing with each film he makes. I really enjoyed this film, and I would suggest you check it out as soon as it gets a wide release. And I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Next I saw The Shape of Water, the newest film by Guillermo del Toro, director of Pan's Labyrinth, and this is his best film since. So if you don't know anything about it, it's a very strange love story between Sally Hawkins and a fish man. Tiff, more like Yef, am I right? And much like Pan's Labyrinth, there is much of a fairy tale feel to this film. Even if you discount the strangeness of the story, the wide angles and camera movement really communicate this as well. Combined with the music, the experience of watching this film is a very magical one indeed. As per usual with Guillermo del Toro, the creature effects worked really well also, and the vast majority of it was done practically. This is Sally Hawkins' best performance I've seen from her, and this is probably my favorite role for Richard Jenkins. Octavia Spencer was an absolute joy to watch. I really enjoyed watching the relationship between her and the main character on screen. You can tell that part of the reason why they work so well as friends is because Octavia Spencer's character likes to talk a lot. She's essentially using Sally Hawkins' character as a form of therapy, and you can really see the level of companionship and trust that they both share. Michael Shannon's performance was great, although his character was a little admittedly cheesy, as are a few things with this film. But despite a lot of cheese, things were still shown in a really clever and meaningful way. I can't really say anything about the dinner table scene, but it was absolutely fantastic. The way that information is revealed about the characters is also pretty clever too. There are parts of the movie that feel stupid, but no parts that make you feel as though the movie thinks you're stupid. During the Q&A, he said the budget for the film was only $20 million, which is insane considering over twice as much of that was spent on Death Note 2017. It genuinely feels much bigger than the budget would have you believe. It was also really cool watching the film in the Elgin Theatre in Toronto, because there are a few scenes in the film that take place in that same theater. Anyway, I had a great time watching this film. It's not perfect, and it's nowhere near as good as Pan's Labyrinth, but it feels like kind of a classic already, and I'd like to see it again. And I'm giving this one a 7 or 8 out of 10. I haven't really decided yet. I don't know. I've only seen the film once. I would like to see it a second time. Sue me.